What if your breath wasn't just a function of survival, but a sacred instrument of creation? Most people never notice it. They go through life breathing unconsciously, unaware that every inhale is a signal, and every exhale is a command. But ancient mystics knew something science is only beginning to understand. Your breath is not just air, it's attention in motion. It is the rhythm of the observer. And what you observe shapes what you experience. Right now, you're breathing, but where is your breath coming from? Is it rising from your chest, fast and shallow, shaped by anxiety? Or is it rooted in your belly, slow, deep, timeless? Because here's the truth. The field does not respond to your thoughts. It responds to your frequency. And nothing tunes your frequency faster than breath aligned with awareness. The breath is the moment you step out of the mind and into the field. Not through control, but through stillness. Not by trying to change reality, but by becoming a space where reality reorganizes itself around coherence. In this video, we'll explore how your breath can awaken the observer within you. You'll discover the sacred pause between inhales, a doorway into the quantum. You'll learn how to use conscious breathing not to escape this world, but to reshape it from within. Welcome to the silent revolution. The breath is the key, and you are the door. Breathe in, not as a habit, not as a reflex, but as if you were listening to the world begin again inside you. This is the first portal, before language, before thought, before your name and your history. There was this, the inhale, the exhale, the silent intelligence that knows exactly when to expand and when to let go. In every spiritual tradition, there is a mystery hidden in plain sight. The breath is more than physiology. It is the bridge between the seen and the unseen, between the body that lives in time and the awareness that does not. When you were born, you didn't think, you breathed. Your soul entered this reality, not through words, but through rhythm. That first inhale wasn't just survival, it was initiation. And yet, somewhere along the way, we forgot. We let the breath become mechanical background noise. We learned to chase life instead of feeling it unfold inside us. But here's what the ancients understood. Your breath isn't something you do, it's something you remember. It is the axis of your perception, the spindle on which time and awareness turn. Every inhale draws awareness in. Every exhale returns energy to the field. And in between, in that brief pause, reality listens. There's a moment so brief, so subtle, where the breath stops. Not because you held it, but because something deeper took over. A stillness that isn't empty, but overflowing with presence. That moment is sacred. It's the moment the observer awakens. You see, breath is not about oxygen alone. It carries geometry. It carries intention. It carries memory from lifetimes encoded in your cells. A language beyond words, spoken through silence and rhythm. Shamans, monks, yogis, they all knew. Control the breath and you begin to influence the field. Not through effort, but through resonance. Because your breath is your frequency. Your state of being isn't just reflected in the breath. It is shaped by it. When you breathe from survival, your body contracts. Your vision narrows. You begin to scan the world for threat, and so the world obliges. But when you breathe from presence, when the inhale is slow and the exhale deeper still, something shifts. You stop reacting. You begin receiving. The world softens, bends, and your perception, that quantum lens, begins to align with truth. Have you ever noticed what happens when you truly stop? When you sit, close your eyes, and do nothing except breathe? At first, there is noise, thoughts like waves. Then slowly, the noise loses its grip. The thoughts slow down, and what remains is not emptiness, but vastness. You become the space. You are no longer inside your thoughts. You are watching them. You are the observer. And this is where breath becomes sacred, because every breath you take from that place is no longer just keeping you alive. It's keeping you aligned. The field, that unseen sea of potential, responds not to what you say, but to how you are. And how you are is encoded in the rhythm of your breath. This is why every mystic tradition begins with the breath, because before you can speak truth, you must breathe it. Before you can live with clarity, you must anchor your attention in the body. Breath is the gatekeeper. It brings the mind into the body, and the body into the now. You do not need to silence your mind. You only need to breathe so deeply that the mind dissolves into awareness. Your breath is the most ancient prayer. It speaks to the field without words. It aligns your frequency without force. And in its silence, you begin to remember what you are. Not a name, not a thought, not even a soul inside a body, but the breath between worlds, the axis on which perception turns. And once you remember that, you're no longer trying to change reality. You're becoming the rhythm it responds to. Close your eyes, not to escape the world, but to witness the one within. Feel your breath enter, not just your lungs, but your awareness. Let it move through you, like a gentle tide returning to the shore. And now, watch. This is the moment most never reach. When breath becomes observation, and observation becomes liberation. Because you are not just the one breathing. You are the one watching the breath, the witness behind the rhythm, the stillness behind the motion. This shift is subtle, but it's everything. In that shift, identity softens. You stop clinging to the storm of thoughts, and instead, you see them pass, like clouds across an eternal sky that never moves. That sky is you. We live in a world addicted to movement, to noise, reaction, doing. But the breath, especially the conscious breath, teaches something else. It teaches being, presence, that sacred space where perception opens and the false self dissolves. When you sit with your breath, you meet your own field. You notice the tension stored in your body. You see how your breath becomes shallow when you feel unsafe, or how it disappears altogether when the mind panics. And in that noticing, you awaken the observer. The observer is not a part of the ego. It's not the voice in your head. It doesn't judge, compare, or plan. It sees, it holds, it listens. And in its gaze, things begin to unravel, but also to align. You begin to realize something profound. You were never your thoughts, never your emotions, never even your personality. You were always the space they moved through, the conscious field, the still point. Breath becomes the compass that guides you back to that still point. Not by forcing you to stop thinking, but by shifting your center of gravity from mind to awareness. This is what ancient seers meant when they said, "Know thyself." Not as an idea, as a presence, as the one who watches silently as the universe unfolds, inside and out. Have you ever experienced a moment where time slowed down? Maybe it was during a crisis, or in the arms of someone you loved. Suddenly, the noise faded. Your awareness expanded, and everything, the light, the sound, your breath, became vivid, sacred, alive. That was the observer, and that presence is always within you. But to access it, you must pass through the breath. Because the breath anchors you, It breaks the trance of thought. It interrupts the autopilot. It brings you home. Home is not a place. It's a state, a resonance, and your breath is the key. In that resonance, something powerful begins to happen. You start to see life as it is, not as your fears or desires painted it. Your relationships change. You listen more. You react less. You notice patterns you were blind to before. And the beauty? This clarity doesn't come from effort. It comes from being, from staying close to your breath, as if it were your teacher. Because it is. The breath reveals where your energy is trapped. It shows you where you've abandoned yourself. It invites you to return, again and again, to the only moment that matters, now. The observer doesn't need to fix. It doesn't need to chase. It only needs to see. And what it sees, it begins to transform. Through awareness, you transmute. Through breath, you stabilize. And through stillness, you remember that your power isn't in what you can do, but in what you can hold. Your fears, your desires, your stories. Hold them all in your breath, without clinging, without pushing, and watch what happens. The noise fades. The tension melts. The ego loosens its grip. And what remains is you, the true you, the silent, eternal witness that has always been watching, waiting, breathing. Welcome back. There is a space so subtle, most people never feel it. It lives between your inhale and your exhale. A sacred gap, a moment without motion, a breathless instant where everything is listening. This is the quantum pause. You felt it, even if you didn't know what it was. That tiny stillness after the inhale, before you let go, or the silent void before the next breath arrives. In that space, time opens, mind dissolves, and something deeper, something infinite becomes present. This pause is not a void. It is a field, a presence so full it feels empty, a door so closed you can't see it, because you are it. Modern science calls it the parasympathetic drop. Mystics called it the eye of the needle, the moment when the mind surrenders and the field receives. Because in this pause, your intention enters, not your words, not your thoughts, your state, your frequency. The field doesn't care about what you want. It reflects what you are. And what you are is most clearly revealed in stillness. That's why the pause is powerful, because it carries no resistance, no striving, only being. And from that place, reality begins to shift. In most of life, we live in oscillation. Inhale, exhale, thought, action, reaction. But in the pause, we are not in motion. We are in potential. And that potential is vast. It's where the script can be rewritten, where the story can bend, where the wave collapses into the particle, and your intention crystallizes into experience. The quantum pause is not about doing, it's about holding the moment, holding your awareness without interference, holding your inner space like a chalice. This is the essence of all sacred practice, to become still enough for reality to hear you. Breath is the rhythm, pause is the temple, and you are the flame inside. In the ancient Egyptian schools, initiates were trained to sit in stillness for hours, not in silence of sound, but in silence of intention. Breath slowed to a whisper. Mind dissolved into presence. And in that stillness, visions arose, because the veil is thinnest when you stop trying to pierce it. What arises in the pause is not created, it's remembered. You don't push your desire into the field. You receive the frequency it already lives on. This is why the most powerful manifestation is not loud. It's not a demand. It's an attunement. You breathe, you pause, you feel, and you allow. From that place, you don't chase alignment. You become it. Sit with your breath now. Inhale gently. Exhale completely. And then pause. Wait. Don't rush. Don't think. Feel that space? That is the womb of creation. It's not empty. It's alive. It's aware. It's waiting. Not to be told what to do, but to reflect who you are being. In that instant of pause, when you stop identifying with the mind, you become the signal, the coherence, the presence that reality reconfigures itself around. So few reach this state, not because it's difficult, but because it's subtle. It requires letting go of effort, letting go of expectations, letting go of the idea that your breath is just breath, because the breath is sacred and the pause is holy. It is the still I at the center of the storm, the silence that doesn't just reflect your state, it amplifies it. And once you learn to dwell there, even for a second, you no longer fight reality. You co-create with it. In this sacred gap, you can place your intention, not as a wish, but as a frequency. You can hold gratitude, presence, love, and feel them radiate outward like waves. No effort, no force, just breath, pause, being. And in that being, everything begins to change. Not because you made it happen, but because you became the condition it arises within. This is the true art. Not control, but coherence. The pause is where you become the tuning fork. And reality, it listens. Close your eyes and feel your body from within. Not as an image, not as a story, but as sensation, vibration, breath. You are not in a room. You are in a temple, and that temple is you. The ancients knew this. They built temples of stone to mirror the ones of spirit. Structures of sacred proportion, not to house gods, but to reflect the symmetry of the soul. And the entrance to this inner temple is breath. Most people drift through life disconnected from their bodies. They live in the attic of the mind, analyzing, worrying, projecting, but rarely descend into the deep halls of their being. The breath brings you down into sensation, into presence, into your inner architecture. With every inhale, awareness descends. With every exhale, tension is released. And little by little, you re-inhabit yourself. This is embodiment, not just occupying a body, but becoming conscious within it. And this too is sacred. The breath doesn't just anchor attention, it sculpts it. Each conscious breath is a brick in the temple. Each pause, a window to the divine. Each moment of presence, a beam of light through the inner dome. You begin to notice there are chambers within you, layers of energy, points of tension that once seemed normal. Now reveal their weight. Where is your breath blocked? Where is it tight? Where does it stop? And why? Your breath reveals your biography. It shows where you clench against life, where you hold old grief, where you've armored your heart to feel safe. But it also shows the path through. To build the inner temple is not to fight the mind. It is to create space inside yourself that's stronger than its noise. You don't need to silence the storm. You need to become the ground beneath it. And breath is how you dig. Deeper than thought, deeper than emotion, into that sacred core that remembers your wholeness. The more you breathe with awareness, the more coherent your field becomes. Your energy stabilizes, your nervous system recalibrates, Your mind, once scattered, begins to orbit something still, silent, and radiant at the center. That center is your temple. The inner temple is not metaphor, it's structure. It has geometry, tone, magnetism. The Egyptians mapped it in the body, as energy centers, as inner pyramids, as resonant frequencies tied to breath. The breath rises like the Nile, moving through sacred channels, clearing, nourishing, awakening. And with each cycle, you open doors inside yourself that were long sealed. Rooms where lost fragments of you are waiting, not to be judged, but to be witnessed and reintegrated. You are not trying to be perfect. You are reclaiming wholeness, and breath is the key. When your awareness fully returns to the body, you begin to feel truth, not as a concept, as a current, as coherence in your field. This is why ancient initiates could feel lies without proof. Why they trusted instinct over argument. Because their temple was active, their breath was deep, and their awareness was anchored. This anchoring makes you unshakable. It doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you feel everything, but from a place that does not fragment. The breath gives you this capacity. It builds your inner space, breath by breath, until presence becomes your home. Now ask yourself, when you walk through the world, are you breathing? Are you anchored? Or are you reacting, projecting, escaping? Most suffering arises from forgetting this temple, from abandoning the body and drifting into mind's illusion. But the temple is always there, waiting, alive, sacred. You only have to return. And breath is the path. Each inhale, a call inward. Each exhale, a cleansing. Each pause, a throne of stillness. Build it, live in it, and from it, breathe the world anew. Part. What if every breath you took didn't just move through your body, but through the fabric of reality itself? What if breath was not just a function, but a frequency generator? You've heard it before. Everything is energy. But that energy isn't random. It follows patterns. It responds to coherence. It organizes itself around vibration. And your breath is your vibration made visible. When you breathe unconsciously, shallow, chaotic, stressed, your field becomes fragmented. You leak energy. Your thoughts become noisy. Your emotions unpredictable. But when you breathe with intention, your field begins to harmonize, not only inside you, but around you. This is the breath field, an invisible atmosphere, an energetic aura shaped and sustained by the quality of your breath. It's not fantasy, it's physics and subtle biology. The heart has an electromagnetic field measurable meters from the body. The breath rhythm influences that field instantly, and that field communicates with the environment quietly, constantly, without words. You're always transmitting. The question is, what frequency are you breathing into the world? When your breath is steady, deep, and aware, you emit a field of coherence. And coherence magnetizes. It draws people in. It calms nervous systems. It shifts tension without effort. It bends reality without noise. This is not manipulation. It's resonance. You don't force anything. You become a frequency reality wants to respond to. And it does. Situations begin to align. The right conversations open, obstacles soften, and your life starts to mirror the calm precision you carry within. Your breath teaches the field how to treat you. It's not about control, it's about alignment. When you breathe in fear, the world reflects fear. When you breathe in presence, the world meets you in presence. This is how reality becomes personal. Not because it targets you, but because it matches you. You are not separate from your environment. You are entangled with it. and breath is the thread. When you shift your breathing, you shift the lens through which reality forms. Your perception changes, your reactions change, and with them, the very shape of your experience. Think of your field like water. Chaotic breath creates ripples, waves, distortion. Coherent breath stills the surface, and when it's still, it reflects clearly. This is why deep breathing brings clarity, not just cognitively, energetically. When your field stabilizes, it becomes a mirror, and in that mirror, you begin to see truth, not ideas. Essence. You recognize what's aligned and what's not. You sense the false before it speaks. You feel what's right before it proves itself. This is the breath field in action. It doesn't just react, it knows. But here's the mystery most miss. The field doesn't give you what you breathe. It amplifies it, which means breathing with fear doesn't remove fear, it deepens it. Breathing with presence expands presence. Breathing with gratitude opens flow. Breathing with resistance locks energy. So the question is not just how do you breathe? It's what state do you breathe into the field? And are you doing it from awareness or habit? Because the field remembers. It stores patterns. It responds not to your words, but to your inner signal, which is encoded in every cycle of breath. Now pause. Feel your breath. Feel its texture, its rhythm, its honesty. You cannot fake breath. You cannot pretend with the field. It knows. But that's not a threat. It's liberation. Because the moment you become aware, you become free. Free to choose. Free to shift. Free to breathe a different frequency into your life. You don't need more affirmations. You need more coherence, more felt alignment. And breath is how you access it. You are not just a body breathing air. You are a field breathing meaning into form. Each inhale, I receive. Each exhale, I shape. Each pause, I align. Master this rhythm, and your life no longer feels random. It becomes a living expression of your chosen frequency. Breathe like it matters. Because it does, everything responds. You've traveled far without ever leaving your seat. Not across lands, but across layers of yourself. Through rhythm, silence, observation, and now you return. Not to who you were, but to who you've always been, beneath the noise. The breath brought you here, and now it reveals the final truth. Stillness is not the absence of power. Stillness is power. The world teaches you to act, to chase, fix, strive, to be loud, to be heard, to be fast, to stay ahead. But the field does not follow noise. It follows coherence. And coherence begins in stillness. Not the stillness of passivity, but the living stillness that watches, feels, and chooses from depth. This is the stillness of the mountain, the stillness of the eye of the storm, the stillness of one who has remembered the breath, and with it, their center. In this stillness, something profound becomes clear. You were never meant to control the outer world. You were meant to hold the inner field so clearly, so steadily, that the outer begins to rearrange itself in response. This is not magic. It's alignment. It's resonance. It's the mechanics of a conscious universe. Your breath is the tuning fork, and your awareness, the silent architect. Sit now, not to do, to be. Let the breath rise, fall, pause. Let your awareness rest in that rhythm, not pushing, not expecting, just watching. And notice how this simple act changes everything. Your nervous system softens, your mind unknots, your body opens, and what returns is you, not the one performing, not the one protecting, the one who watches, the one who knows, the observer. From this place, even the most ordinary act becomes sacred. Drinking water, walking through your door, speaking a word. Because now you're not acting from habit, you're acting from center, from signal, from stillness. This is presence. It doesn't seek, it radiates. It doesn't chase outcomes. It aligns with reality as it is and moves from there. Stillness is not withdrawal. It is mastery, the power to be unmoved by distortion, to sense the deeper currents beneath appearances, to wait without tension, to act without fear. And breath is how you return to it, every time, not once, not only in meditation, but in life, in movement, in uncertainty, because the breath is always with you, and through it, so is the field. There will be moments when the world pulls you away, when emotion clouds the lens, when thoughts spiral. In those moments, remember, the shortest path home is breath. One conscious inhale, one surrendering exhale, one sacred pause, and you're back. Not back to comfort, but back to clarity. Because clarity is not the absence of challenge, it's the presence of awareness within it. Now, as you leave this space, take this rhythm with you. Let your breath be your compass. Let stillness be your throne. Let awareness walk with you in every word, every choice, every pause. The breath does not change life for you. It changes how you meet it. And when how you meet it changes, life responds. This is how reality bends, not from force, from presence. And presence begins with breath. So breathe, not to survive, to remember, not to escape, to embody, not to control, to create. The breath is the key. You are the door. Step through